All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I have been creating a series of video presentations based on first the hypertext markup language, which allows us to insert content into a web page, and I did about 9 videos on that. Then I did 8 videos on cascading style sheets, which allows us to style the HTML content, and now I'm in my 4th lecture on JavaScript, the language that makes web pages interactive. All right, and in the last video I talked about some of the number methods. All right, and some of these I've already talked about, but I wanted to mention just a couple very quickly. If I want to convert a number to a string, there is a Twostring method, and the main reason I bring this up is especially for those of you who are in your first semester, many other programming languages have a Twostring type of function, which takes a number and it turns it into the string equivalent of that number. All right. There's also the Twofix, and if you look at this, so we've got here x equals 9.6516, and if I say Twofix 0, it's going to round it up if it's 0.5 or above. If I say to 2 decimal places, well, notice 5/6 rounded up is 6, so you get 9.66. If I say to 4 decimal places, it'll be 96560, and to 6, etc. So you can see how that works. And if I try this, and again, if I change the number here to 345, all right. Now, notice Twofix, it should be, when I run it, it's 9 with 0, then with 2 decimal places, it's 35. With 4 decimal places, it's 3456, and with 6, etc. So if I added onto this 1, 9, for example. All right. And there are a lot of places where you may end up using the Twofix method. Value of returns a number as a number. All right. If you have to make sure something is being treated as numeric. Now, converting variables to number, there is the number method, which I showed you. There is the parseInt method, which I showed you. There is the parseFloat method, which I showed you. But just to review, number returns a number converted from its argument. ParseFloat parses an argument and returns the floating point portion of it. ParseInt parses the argument, returns the integer portion of it. When you're using parseInt and or parseFloat, if before you have any number, if you've got a blank space or a special character, etc., it'll return NaN for not a number. And there are examples of these as well. I'm not going to run through them anymore. All right. And there's NaN itself. You can actually check to see whether something is numeric or non-numeric as well. All right, then I'm going to jump into these string methods. Now remember, a string in JavaScript is either in double quotes or it's in single quotes. All right, but if we look at some of these, and I want to run through most of them because they are important. All right, so I'm going to go back to here, and let's have let name equals Jeffrey, my first name. All right, let len for length equals name dot length. All right, alert len. So when we run this, what do we get? We don't have it up and running. Well, let's open it. Remember, we can only run our live server from the HTML file, so not from that file. All right, so it says 7. All right. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should make sense, right? All right. Let's look at a couple more of these. Finding a string within a string. This is actually used a lot. All right. So let's suppose for a second here. I don't know. Let's change this string, and we're going to put in here Jeffrey P. Scott likes broccoli. Kind of a dumb thing to put in there, but that's fine. We don't care about the length anymore. All right. But I'm going to call this sub. Okay. And what I want, is I want to find out where in here Scott is. All right. So I'm going to do an index of. I'm going to do an index of. And I'm going to put Scott in there. All right. Whoops. All right. So let's save this and run it. And it's not giving us anything. So let's look back. All right. So let's try that. We're letting it know what we're looking for in here. So it says 11. So let's see what that is. You might think, well, let's look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And it's like right there. Looks pretty good to me. But I believe this is 0 based. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right. So what a substring function allows you to do, or index of in this case, is to check for a string within a string. Now, let's suppose that I put in here Scop instead of Scott. All right. Let's see what it returns. It returns -1. If it finds something right at the beginning, so again, let's double check this. So let's look for the J. And let's see what that returns. It returns 0, the 0th position. So if something does not exist, and you saw that a second ago, it returns -1. So -1 just means there's nothing to meet that criteria. So if I put a Z in there, it returns -1 because there is no Z in the sentence. All right. Notice there's stuff in here as it says for extracting string parts. There is a slice, and there are two different substring functions. Slice, as it says, extracts or removes part of a string and returns that part in a new string. All right. So notice in the example here, it says 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this says go from 7 to 13. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So start with a B. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and stop on 13. Don't include it. That's why we get banana right there. So using this slice function, let's see if we can go in here and find my name. All right, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it should start at 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. See if I'm right or not. If I do see 11 to 15. All right. And I had to go one further. It only brought back SCOT. So that should have went to 16. Save that, check it again, and there's Scott. Now let's see why that's the case. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that is 16, so that's where we wanted it to stop. That's why it came up with Scott. All right, just a couple more of the examples that are here. There is a substring and a substr. Substring is similar to slice. The difference is substring cannot accept negative indexes. What's a negative index? When you put a negative index, you're starting from the end of the string and going to the front, as opposed to the default, which is starting from the front and go to the end. All right. Other than that, they're pretty much the same as what we just saw. There's a replace, which, as you would imagine, kind of like a replace that you would use in something like a word or whatever, where you can replace the occurrence of one thing with another. By default, it only replaces the first one. All right. But you can do other things to make it replace all of them if you want, by putting in the G flag, G for global. Now, one thing you may or may not have noticed, let's go back here and let's look at one of these examples we looked at before. All right. Okay, remember this index of Scott right here? What if I put in this? What do you think will come back? Let's save it and check. Comes back -1 because this is case sensitive. All right. What if I want to make sure that what I'm looking at is exactly what I want it to be? All right. Well, if caseness does matter, one thing I can do is I can say let name2 equals name dot to uppercase. And just so you see it real quick, I'm going to do an alert on name2 just so you can see what it looks like, and probably is what you'd expected. All right. See how now it's all in uppercase? All right. Well, now when I come in and check, I can say name2 and I can check for Scott all in uppercase. Like that. And it found it. Now, there's a 2 lowercase just like there's a 2 uppercase, so if I wanted to, I could have done this. And then in here, we would have checked for like that. Okay, and you'll see again, it'll return 11. Okay, all right. So that was the upper and lower case. There's a concat that you can use to join things together. Typically, you don't do that. You just use the plus sign. All right. This one's kind of important here. This string.trim. All right. So back in the olden days, like, in the 1990s or whatever, a lot of times what would happen would be people would, for example, they would fill out a form on the internet and it would say that certain fields were required and they didn't want to fill them out. So they just hit their space bar, for example. All right. Now I'm going to do this and I want you to see this. so you can see trim and how it's typically used. So I'm just going to say let name equal, whoops, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put space, 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 JEFF, space, 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 space. All right, then I'm going to do an alert on name. Then I'm going to say name equals name.trim, and again, I'm going to do an alert on name. Now, you may or may not be able to tell a difference in here. And I'm actually, in a way, hoping you cannot tell the difference. And if you say, well, why? Let me show you. So just hold on for a sec, please. So there it is. All right, and I guess it didn't show both of them. I'm not sure why, but oh, this should be, let's say name 2. Do it like that. So there's the first one, and there's the second one. Now there's a subtle difference if you take a look. All right, what do I mean? Well, again, it's easiest to show you. I'm going to run this again. And notice how the J lines up with the 2 right here. And then notice the next time how it doesn't. All right, so again, you might say, well, that doesn't show me anything. Well, then let's look at this. All right, so there we've got Jeff like this, and we did the alert. That's fine. And then we're going to say let len1 equals name.length. All right, then we're going to come in here and we'll do an alert. And we're going to say name length len1. All right, and then we're going to trim it. And we don't need these alerts that are here anymore. It's not that big a thing. But we will say name 2.length, and we'll make this one len2. So that would be name 2, let len2 equal name 2.length. All right, and if we run this, name 1 length is 12, name 2 length is 4, because we got rid of all of the leading and trailing spaces using trim. Okay. Now, a couple more things. I don't think I've ever used Char codec, but I want to show you Charet. All right. Maybe you've seen this kind of thing before, where you'll see something that looks like this. Again, equals, and we're going to say here, what do I want? Prompt run program again, and we'll tell them to enter in either a yes or a no. Pretty obvious, right? You tell them to enter a yes if they want to run it again, and a no if they don't. All right, and we're going to say here, in fact, let's just do this. We'll say we'll alert again. Okay? All right, let's run this. Oops. For some reason I keep closing this thing and I don't know why. All right, so there it is. Open it with live server. All right, so run program again, and I'm going to say yes. Notice what it put in there was yes. You know, well, that's not a surprise, right? All right, but let's run it again, and would put hello. And it puts in hello. Now, again, not a surprise. And if we put in no, it puts in no. But what if all we want is just the Y or the N? All right. Well, first of all, let's come in here. And after they put this in, let's say this. Alert, I'm sorry, not alert. Again equals again dot to uppercase. All right. Then I'm going to come in here and again say let first char, which is first character, equal again dot char at 0. So in other words, give me the first character. And then we will alert first char. And again, this is unbelievably important, even though you may not think it is. So let's look. Run program again. I put in yes. And it comes back and it says yes. But then it changes to just the Y. All right, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to put in no, but I'm going to put it all in lowercase. So notice it says no, but then there's just an uppercase N. So by using char at, one of the things that it allows us to do is just pluck off. We only want one character, that being the first character. I end up using this a lot in programs where I say, do you want to run the program again? Because even if you tell the user to enter Y or N, a lot of them are going to enter yes or no anyway. All right. There's a split, which converts a string to an array. We're going to talk about arrays in the next lesson. So I'm going to hold off on that until then. And I think we're good right now. So again, when I come back, I'm going to talk about JavaScript arrays.